Hi, Eric Gimbal, ericgimbal.com, and today I'm going to present you my buying guide for a Hasselblad Serie V, which is, well, the 500 Serie, okay, so like this one. So let's start. So I have a Hasselblad 503 CW, but this video is not to present it because I already made a video about this. I'll leave you the link here. I also have a video that shows the lenses I use. I'll leave you the link here also. I also have a video that explains how to load a film in a Hasselblad. So I'll leave you the video here. Okay, so the idea is not either to explain if Hasselblad is better or worse, or they are better alternative or cheaper, whatever. This is not the idea. The idea is that many people contact me because they want to buy a Hasselblad for whatever reason, but they are really lost because there are many models. They don't know which one is better. They don't know what to check when buying. They don't know what they should be aware of, and cost and things like this. So I'm going to answer this question. So some people are just curious and just want to know more about it, and others really want to buy a Hasselblad. Okay, so I will show you a picture of different models, not my model, like I've got only one, but I'll show you a picture I pick on the internet, on the Hasselblad catalogs and things like this. I will tell you also things you should avoid or check and double check all this to make sure you don't get with the camera doesn't work properly or overpriced or whatever. Okay, so let's carry on. So important, if you want to buy a Hasselblad, do not wait. Prices are rocketing right now. Not right now, for several years already. I bought my 503 CW in 2018 before I had a 500C that I sold, but prices have not stopped climbing. I mean, they've been multiplying by 3 in the last 3 years. You know, that's crazy. And this year it's getting crazy. So why are prices going that high and that fast? Well, simply because first, the name of Hasselblad is like Leica. It's magic for many people, so they want a Hasselblad. Second, because many people were having medium format at camera that had electronic in there. And when electronic dies, there's no solution most of the time. So Hasselblad is 100 mechanical, and many people can repair them. So they have a lot of success. And also because Hasselblad has made again a new digital back. But this time it's affordable. Well, affordable, 6,000 euros, 7,000 US dollars, okay? But if you look at digital back, it's affordable because the one before was twice that price. So many people now decide to get a Hasselblad to use a back like this, okay? Not to use just analog, but also the digital possibilities. So if you want a Hasselblad, listen to the video, make a decision, and don't waste time. Don't wait too long because the price is getting higher and higher. There are many Hasselblad cameras. I'm going to speak to you about the Serie V. V like Victor Hasselblad. This is funny because before the H Serie appeared, the V Serie didn't have that name. There was no name. It was like a 500C or 501 or 501CM or whatever, okay? And then they made the H Serie with the H1 about like 15 years ago, I think, something like this. 12, I'm not sure. And then they had to give a name to this Serie. So I'm going to speak to you about this model, the V Serie, and in Latin Roman numbers it's also 5, so that's funny because it's like 5, or some people call it V, some people call it 5, but it's V, okay? So I'm going to give you the key model, the one that's really interesting, and give you more details about them. In 1957 the 500C appears, the first of the V Serie, and they all look really similar. Mine is different because I've got a prisma, motor, all this, but the idea is the same one. I mean, here you have a lens, okay? Here you have a camera body. Here you have a film cartridge, like here. Here, in my case, I've got a prism, but you can actually have a weight finder. I've got it also. I've got a motor. This is actually the camera body, and that's it. The big difference between the V Serie and the one before, and some they kept making also, is because this one has a leaf shutter in the lens. It means that you can actually synchronize flash at all speeds, okay, and it's different from the other one that has focal plane, where the shutter is in the body. But the idea of all the 500 Serie cameras are the same, okay? Lens, body, cartridge, viewfinder, that's it, and accessories if you want, okay? The first model, the 500C, I do not recommend it. Why? Here I show you there is a focusing glass and a focusing screen here. So on the 500C you cannot change it yourself. You have to send to a technician, and it's expensive to change it. Why? Because there are many focusing glass like this screen. So maybe you want a really bright one like this one. This is Accumate D, which comes on Serie with the 503 CW, and if you want to have one on your C, it's going to be more expensive. With this one, from the C on, from the CCM 500CM, then you could change it yourself. You just have to push this to lock like this, like here. Put it down, and here's my glass. Okay, so I could change it. On the 500C you could not do that, so I would avoid it. When you want to place it again, you don't have to lock again. You just push the viewfinder in, and that's it, it's locked again. Okay, so that would be a reason not to buy a 500C. Many people ask me, how do you know it's an Accumate D? As you can see here, there's two small notches here, and it comes on the 501CM and on the 503 CW in Serie. It comes in it, but some people have sold it because just this is about 300 euros. So they sell it, and then they put on all the screen in there, and you think you get the screen and you don't get it. So if there are no notches here, the two small notches, it's not an Accumate D. Okay, well, as the back is removed, I'll show you. It's important that you check that the doors are closing properly, like this. They're properly closed, okay? And sometimes you have small like some missing as parts, a bit like damage, but it's not really a problem, this, because it's just a cover, okay? But it's important the doors are properly closed, otherwise light will come in onto the film. I'll explain about the back after, okay? When the lens is out, check the mirror first that it lifts properly, okay? Second, here there's a button. It's covered by my motor, but you can press it and it will lift the mirror when you want to do long exposure. So it's important to check that it works. And second, look at the mirror. The mirror may have some dust. That's not a problem. You should never wipe it. You should actually blow it always. Never wipe a mirror, whatever camera it is. Never ever. But check the mirror if you see some like humidity stain, like an old mirror from your grandmother's house, you know, or great grandmother, or whatever it could be, or in the attic, okay? And why? Because maybe the camera has been really cleaned outside perfectly, but the mirror is almost impossible to clean. So if you see some humidity stain on the mirror, there are probably humidity in the mechanical parts that you don't actually see it. It's in there, but there are probably some humidity there, fungus and things like this. So that's a problem. So use this mirror, check the mirror to make sure the way it looks probably will tell you how the mechanical part that are hidden actually in what state they are actually, okay? So from the 500CM on, I think they all are okay. But you should take into account that the 500CM, you can change the screen, the focusing screen, but a focusing screen, if you want on Accumate D, it's expensive. So maybe it's worth getting directly a higher, more recent camera model, and to have it included, because finding a cheap screen is difficult. So, but these cameras are great. It was the 500CM was made until 1994. And then the 501C is fully black. You don't have this chrome look, but it was actually a 500CM, I think, with a different color, a different finish, okay? Completely black. It was made from 94 to 97. Then you have the 503 CX that came out in 1988 up to 1994. And the difference is that the new thing was a TTL flash. You could actually was a TTL through the lens measuring light, okay, for the flash. Then it was made until 94, and then you have the 503 CXI, which is really similar, up to 96. And then one of my favorite one is the 501 CM, made from 97 up to 1997 up to 2005, and you have an AccuMate-D focusing screen. And then the 503 CW came out from 1997 up to 2013. That was the last V series camera made. And you have the CWD, which is exactly the same, but it came with a digital back, a 16 megapixel digital back, okay? And the 503 has a gliding mirror. What is that? When you use telelens, the problem is that you have a blackout, and also well, you have some vignetting in the viewfinder, not on the picture, in the viewfinder. So with the gliding mirror, they don't have this problem, okay? That's the difference, okay? So if you use long lens, you may like the 503. And then you have the 500 ELM. I'll leave you some picture here. The ELM was the one that went to the moon. I'm not getting into if we truly went to the moon or not, because some people don't believe in it. Well, they're free to think this way. But if you see pictures of astronauts having the 500 camera with the big things underneath, it's the motor. This is on the ELM. And you have the 500 ELM, 500 ELX, 553 ELX, and the 555 ELD, which was similar with the possibility of a digital back. These ELM series are normally cheaper because not many people want them, because it's not practical to have this big chunk of motor underneath with batteries, all this. And they don't get as much value, okay? They're really thought for studio to be on a tripod because they're heavier than this, and not many people want them, so this is why the price is lower. But take care, if they've been really used in studio, they may be really old and worn out, okay? But for the price, sometimes it's a good opportunity if you want to have a 500 series Hasselblad. It works the same, but you just have the motor underneath. Then you have also the 1000, 2200 series, but they are focal plane cameras. The shutter is in the body, so I would avoid it. I don't say it's bad, okay? That's not the reason. The reason is that we're speaking about the V series, okay? So if normally they're cheaper, but if you see one that looks perfect and the price is high, they're probably abusing, okay? And if you see it's really cheap, it's probably because it's a focal plane and people don't get fooled. It's not the 500 series, okay? And then you have the SWA, SWC, SWCM. I'm reading, okay? 903 SWC, 905 SWC. They're a bit different cameras. They don't have the mirror inside. You have a fixed 38mm super wide angle lens that is fixed on it. You cannot change it, but this is a different Hasselblad world, so it's not the topic of this video, so I would maybe do something separate for that, okay? So but the idea is the V series, not this one, okay? But if you see that, these are this camera with super wide angle, okay? Serial numbers are important with Hasselblad. They are placed here for the body. It's here, okay? And this number, you have several numbers and you have two letters, and the letters give you the year of the camera. If you write VH pictures, like Victor Hasselblad pictures, and V is number 1 and S is number 0, so V is 1, H is 2, U is 7, for example, you know the year of your camera. Like mine is SS, so it's 00, as you can see, year 2000. I actually have a Millennium model, which is a special series they made in for the year 2000, for the millennium. But if you had, for example, R and T, that would be like 8 and 6, year 86. In case you have a doubt, you can go to the website hasselbladhistorical.eu. I'll leave you a link in the description, and there you can also check your lens serial number. It's written here, okay? And with that you will know the year of your lens also. So it's important to know the serial number, not just to know if it's been stolen or whatever, but also to have the year it was made. Make a small parenthesis, get this tool, a Hasselblad tool. This is really cheap, it's on eBay, okay? actually when you want to put your lens on or take it out, it's important that both the lens has a shutter in there and the body has the advanced film must be cocked at the same time. Okay, so it's important that sometimes you get your lens out and you accidentally touch what make the shutter work, and then you cannot mount your lens anymore. So you could use actually a coin to actually turn it, but this tool is better because it's not just for that. There's also something similar in the body. So if it would happen, you would open the door in the back, and you could, with this that looks like a pen, you could actually arrange it, fix it. So I've never had to use it, but they told me from the first day, get this, because if the camera get jammed with this, you fix it in half a second. So get this, you get it on eBay, you put Hasselblad tool and you find it, okay? So if we speak about lenses, you have the C with the T. So by the way, T is this, okay? And from some time, Hasselblad, well, Carl Zeiss started to have the T, which is a special coating, anti-reflection, all this. So normally we recommend you always buy a lens that has a T coating, unless you're sure you're going to work in an environment without any possible flare or things like this. But I would advise to use always a C coating. Then you have the C model, the CF, CFE, CFI, CB. The visual difference is easy. This is a CFI, or the other one is a CFE. If you compare with the Serie, the C is like conical, okay, like a pyramid, okay, and this one is like a cylinder. That's the main difference, quick visual difference. But then the way it works is also different. Here you have the speed and the aperture, and they are separate rings, and they really work separately. If you want to have them to work together, you have to press a button. On the C model is different. They really work together, and you must manually separate them. If you want to not work in EV, exposure value, if you want to work with speed and aperture separately, is more not as practical, so I prefer this. But the C model are good lenses, and the price is a lot cheaper than a CF or CFE or CFI or CB, okay? And by the way, this is a CFE I've got here, and the E stands for electrical. As you can see, that electrical contact, but you don't actually use them in this camera, not even if you have a digital back, okay? It's made for if you want to use this lens on a different Hasselblad model that has electronic in there and electrical contact, then they would use it. But on this one, it's irrelevant. Then take care with the CB model. There are many 80mm CB. B stands for basics. Hasselblad issued a Serie with us B basic, a cheaper Serie for people who could not afford the full shot, and actually it was thought for students. And the quality is exactly the same. According to many people who've tested, they don't see much difference. They don't see optical difference, but it's cheaper, okay? So sometimes people sell it and they put the high price as if it was a CFE or CF, and they tell you, but the quality is the same. Yes, but the value is not the same. So don't get fooled. If they offer you a CB, if the price is right, that's fine, get it. But not if the price is the same as a CF lens, okay? That's important. So how do you check a lens? You put the maximum aperture, in my case, this one, 2.8. And most people look at the lens like this. It looks brilliant, perfect. Every lens looks perfect this way. Unless there is really a massive scratch, you won't see any problem. To check a lens, you must use a specular light. You can use the LED light of your smartphone. You put it on the other hand, on the other side, and you look at it like this. And then you will see any scratch, any fungus, any things that are not too good, okay? So first you did it with the fully open aperture. Then you're going to close down, in my case to 28, but it's still open, okay? So you need to press the depth of field button this way, so now it closes. So now you can look at the small part of the aperture to see if you see oil, fungus, anything on there, okay? That's really important to check it. If you don't touch the depth of field, you will not notice anything because the aperture will keep open this way, okay? Many people, they don't realize how scratched a lens is unless there is a front element or back element with a small scratch, okay? And when you show them that it's fully scratched, like years ago, something like this, I check a lens like this, it looked perfect. I put my LED lights in the back and I showed the guys, it looks like an ice skate ring, you know, it is really scratched. And the guy, see, but you don't see that on the pictures. Yeah, you probably don't see it on the pictures. You will not see like a scratch or whatever. But these micro scratches make your lens less contrasty because you have micro flare, and it gives like it eats up completely the contrast. Okay, so it's really important. If you have just one scratch, it's not a problem, or two or three, it doesn't really matter. But if you really see it like an ice skate ring, then there is a problem. Okay, and many people don't tell it, or they don't know it, or they know it but then they don't want you to look the way I'm showing you. Okay, and it's important you check this way if there's anything. The first reason to have micro scratches is using your shirt to clean a lens. You should always use microfiber. So this is the way you should check your lens. Speed are actually in the lens, so you have to try all speed. The only way to make sure the speed are fine is to have a physical measurement with the light going through, and then with the shutter closed and open, it will measure how long it's been open. So maybe you don't have that kind of gear. I don't have it either. I've got a friend who has it, so we could check my lenses. But at least the slow time, like 1 second, half a second, a quarter of a second, you can normally check it by here, more or less. You know, you actually listen and see if it's fine. But when you go to 250th of a second or 1/500th of a second, it's really hard to know if it's okay. No, sometimes the lens looks perfect, but time are no good, speed is no good. Why? Because the small spring that are in there have been tensed for too long, or not even enough tensed, and because the lens was not used. So very often when you make many pictures without any film, time will come a bit better. Okay, sometimes we will have to have it CLA'd, okay, but sometimes not. Just making picture to retense properly the spring does help. Okay, and anyway, it's really rare to have the exact time and speed on your on these lenses. For example, mine at 500th of a second is actually more like 600th of a second, which is not bad for me. I can get a bit higher in this case. I like it. So the important that you actually, or you have it properly measured, or you make some pictures and you compare with the exposure with what you've measured, and you will know what time are okay or not, and just you play with that. You know, your time is not exactly as it said, and that's it. Also, you should check this flash PC connector. That's important because so very often it's not very often, but it happens that it is damaged. So to check it, you need a synchro cable. You can connect to a Cobra flash, doesn't matter. You mount the lens on your camera, and when you trigger, the flash should trigger. Okay, if it doesn't, then the connector is no good, or the cable is wrong. But if you're sure the cable is okay, it should work. Okay, so if you are 100% sure you will never use a flash, maybe it doesn't matter that it's not working. But if you don't know, make sure. If you don't know if maybe one day you need a flash, get one that works. And in any case, even if you are sure you will never use a flash with your Hasselblad, pay the right price. Don't pay a top price for something that is broken on this side. Okay, so make sure that you speak to the guy, say, okay, I like it, but the PC connector is not working, so I want a cheaper price. Okay, so here's the back. There are many different backs, but the important is that it starts with the A. Okay, I'll tell you which back are good or not, but we'll speak about just after. A for automatic. It means when you're going to put your film in there and then you're going to wind like this to start, it will automatically stop on the first picture. You don't need to check through a small window here to read a number in the back of the film or this. You don't have to have this. It's automatic. Okay, so important. A. If it's not A, it's more complicated. Avoid it unless it's really cheaper. Okay, and you're prepared to do a different way of loading your film. Second, open the insert. And here, as you can see, there is a serial number. Mine ends up in 310, and here you must have the matching number 310. Why the matching numbers? Because these are adjusted by hand. Okay, if the number is different, they were not adjusted together, and maybe you have light leaks or it doesn't work properly. Maybe the seller tells you they work properly, he has no problem, no light leaks, nothing, no problem, he doesn't give a problem to enter all this, and that's probably true, but the value is not the same. From the second the numbers are not matching, the value is half the price. Okay, so that's important. Don't pay the top price if you don't have matching numbers. So there are many backs, the A12, A16, A24, A32, A70 and more, A16S, all this. Okay, you should search for an A12. Okay, it's important, A12. You will be able to make 12 pictures with a 120 film. If you want to do 6 by 45 6 by 4.5 centimeter pictures, which is rectangle, you could get an A16. You also load 120 film, you get 16 pictures, and that's okay. But in this case, you should have some frame marked on your focusing screen, so you know how to frame. Okay, or you get a screen that has these marks. Okay, but normally use on A12. Okay, that's the ideal thing. There is the A24 and A32. A24 gives you 24 pictures and A32 32 pictures, in that case in 6 by 4.5. But the A24 and A32 are thought for the 220 films. And 220 films are not made anymore. So they sell it to you telling you that it works the same. You can actually place a 120 film in a 220 cartridge on A24. It works the same. That's not true. You can actually load the film without any problem. You will load, but the film will not be as flat because 220 film don't have paper during the whole film, just some part of it. Okay, so it means that you will don't have the same thickness, so it will not be completely flat. So when you actually enlarge your picture, you will see that the borders are not as sharp, so that will be a problem. And also, as the thickness of the film is not the same, you don't have a proper spacing. So sometimes you will have a picture that will be closer to another one, or sometimes even overlap. So this is a problem. So when they tell you it works the same, they're actually lying, or they don't know what they're selling, or they have not really looked at the result properly, and doesn't work as good. Okay, so do not buy on A24 unless it's really cheap and you want to use it just for testing, like or you have as a backup if you didn't find anything else and you cannot afford any other back. You get this A24 as a backup, but otherwise, because you want to test some expired film or whatever, and you have 220 expired film and you get it, but really it's really cheap. Otherwise, do not buy the A24 and not the A32 for the same reason, because it uses the 220 films. And the A70 is for a roll of film. You buy by meters and you get up to 70 pictures. Okay, but I don't know if you can buy this roll of pictures anymore. Okay, so back, it's hard to find back for an affordable price. Prices are rocketing right now, and some people are really crazy. They show you the first version of the automatic A12, and they sell it as much as the latest version. And they're really crazy with prices, so it's really hard to find an affordable back right now. One way to find some, I've found some this way, is to check people who are actually selling a big kit. Okay, and they have like 2 or 3 bags and several things like this, and accessories, all this, and then you speak to them and say, listen, I see you have 2 or 3 A12 back, and actually if you take one out, you will not sell the whole lot much cheaper. Probably will sell it the same price. So how much would you sell one of your back to me? Okay, or make him an offer. And this way I was able to buy some affordable A12 back, not that cheap either, but not as crazy high price as we actually see right now. Okay, so this is one of the tips I can give you to get an affordable back. So sometime when we actually make pictures or testing the camera without any film in there, we just receive the camera and we may be able to return it, so we want to try everything quickly. You go and try to make a picture and in this case I've got the motor, but still it doesn't work either. If you have the motor would press directly the shutter, it would not work either. The reason is very simple. You need to get this dark slide out. Okay, this is what's in front of the film. Sometimes you want to buy a back, okay, and they tell you everything is fine, but I missed the dark slide. Well, they say easy, you can buy it on eBay, it's really cheap. That's not true. It's not easy to find a good dark slide that is straight, okay, and it's not cheap either. So I tell you that if someone wants to sell a back and tells you that, I ask, if you really want to sell, if it's that easy to find and that cheap, why doesn't he find the dark slide, put it in there, and give even more value to his back? Obviously, because it's not cheap, it's not simple. Okay, so if there is no dark slide, you should get a really better price, because you need that to work properly with the back. Okay. Second, when you make your testing, you will probably start shooting without any film in there, and all of a sudden the camera is going to stop working, and then you enter in panic, like many people, because you say, well, it's broken, I made like a few pictures, it stopped. Okay, the reason is simple. It is that even if there is no film in there, when you get to 12, it will stop. So it's just when you get there, it goes cling, you just open the drawer here, okay, so that will reset the counter, and then you can carry on. Not much problem, but that's it. It's very often we get really nervous when we try it, and we want it to work because we spend money, and then we just think it just broke right now. And that's not broken. It's just the mechanical side of it that says you've made 12 pictures, stop here. Okay, if it was a 24 back, obviously it would be 24 pictures, okay, or 16, depends what you have. Okay, but I recommend the A12, but that will happen with the A12 on 12 pictures. So now a few questions you should ask the seller, about 5-6 questions that are really important. The first one is he the first owner? If not, when did he get this camera? How long has he been using this camera, having this camera? It's really important to know more or less what he has done with the camera. It's not the same thing someone who has been doing weddings or studio shoot, maybe like shooting 100 pictures a day, than someone who's doing landscape or was doing landscape and was making maybe 50 shots a week. So the inner state of the camera will be different, the mechanism will be different. So it's important to ask this, okay? Then I always ask, why do you sell the camera? They will rarely tell you it's because they need money. They will tell you maybe because they have 2 or 3 of these cameras and they sell one of them. So that's a good news, okay? Or sometimes they will give you any explanation, so that may help you to negotiate the price or know why, if they really use the camera, all this, that will help you for that. Okay. Third question, when did you shoot with the camera for the last time? That's really important to know how long this camera has been without being used, all this. And if it says, well, actually I never shot myself with the camera, this camera, I bought it but I was thinking of using it, I never used it. Well, the guy is probably lying. He's just a salesperson. He's not actually a photographer. It's a guy who buys and sells. He probably got a good price and now is trying to sell it for a lot higher. Or he was doing speculation. But a real photographer will put at least 1 roll of picture in there to try it, to make sure it works properly. It's fine. If he has not done that, that's not a good sign. The camera may be perfect, but that's not a good sign about what he's telling. He probably doesn't know if the camera actually works properly, okay? And then if he has made picture lately, ask him if he can send you one of the pictures scanned, okay? And you can check if there are light leaks with the back. There are actually some seal in the back that make that light doesn't comes in through the side and makes light leak that will ruin your picture. So it's important because if there are some light leaks, you need to change the seal. It's not really expensive to do it yourself. It's not complicated either, but you should use it to negotiate a better price. So it's important if you can get a test shot to see if there are light leaks. Then the 5th question will be about storage. Where did you store your camera? Many people think of asking that because of fungus, but actually fungus, you may see it on the camera. It's maybe not too much of a problem. But what you will not see is that if the camera has been stored on a shelf or a window, you know, to expose the camera, maybe this camera has been like 20 years without working at all, and spring in the shutter are probably stuck or really wrong time, wrong speed. So it's important to know that, because you may need to do a CLA and it may be expensive. Actually, real Hasselblad shooter, and not just Hasselblad, anyone who's been using leaf shutter lenses, actually once a month, even if they don't make picture, once a month or every 2 months, they shoot with the camera without film to make sure the speed keep okay, and they do it at every speed. Okay, so it's important to know that sometimes the camera looks perfect, but it's been unused for 20 years and it does need a CLA. So you pay a prime price because it looks perfect, but it doesn't actually work perfect. So that's important to know that. Important, some cameras have been really used a lot and they're really worn out, so it's important that you check that they actually work properly. Otherwise you will get a camera that is need a CLA. It's about 400 euros to have a camera that is fixed. And same thing with the lens. Sometimes they tell you, oh yeah, but the camera hasn't been used for 20 years, it's on the shelf, it's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect, but maybe some oil get out of the grease in the lens, and the shutter is locked. So you need to get it fixed. It's for about 400 euros to have it fixed. So it's important, if you cannot go yourself and check the lens and check everything, make sure that they can send you a video triggering at each speed, and you estimate if the speed is right. Okay, otherwise it may indicate that the shutter is jammed, okay, or it's not getting the right speed. So it's really important. Otherwise, if you cannot have anyone to go and check it, or you cannot go yourself, or they cannot send you a video, maybe it's better to buy in a specialized shop, and they will give you a guarantee. You can return the lens or the body if it's no good, because it's very expensive to have this fixed. About 400 euros for each piece you will get fixed by an official Hasselblad repair shop. Okay, so try to make sure that everything is working properly. There are many Hasselblad that they look good, but they're not good. Okay, so how much can we pay for that? Well, it all depends. If we look at the 500C, it's very hard to find it for less than 1,000 euros. Okay, about 12 to 1,400 US dollar. Okay, it's very hard to find it. And 500CM, well, 500C like 3 years ago was about half the price of now. Okay, 500CM, maybe 1,500 euros is really what you normally get. When I speak about this price here, I speak with an 80mm lens, waist level viewfinder, and an A12 back. Okay, well, if you 500C, maybe not an A12, maybe the older one, it was not automatic. Okay, but let's speak about this. So 500CM around from, I would say, 1,500 euros. Okay, if we look at the 503 CW, which is the other extreme, maybe probably between 3,000 and 4,000 euros. Sometimes you get it for 2,500, but normally you get it because you also get a lens that is more recent, so more expensive. So it's really often you get it from 3,000 up to 4,000 euros more or less. Sometimes cheaper, but normally that's the price you get. Okay, and second, be aware of when they make you a big lot, you know, and they give you many things in there like a bundle, because very often they fill it with things that are useless or not worth of what you think they are worth, and they give you like an extra hand grip. You can find it really cheap on eBay. Okay, or they give you an A24 back also. No, it's after what I explained, it's not worth having it, so why should you pay for it? All this. So very often they put many things, and they put the price like 500 or 1,000 euros over it, and it's not worth paying this difference, because most of the accessories you don't actually need them, or you could find them cheap. But beware that sometimes you miss some things that are really important. They sell it with a prism and say, yeah, that's great, there's a prism in there, and a waist level finder, you don't have it. No, I lost it, but you can find it on eBay, it's cheap. No, it's not cheap. there are not that many, and they're really expensive. They're as much as a prism. Why? Because there are not many. So it's very important that don't get fooled with this kind of it's easy, it looks simpler, so it's cheaper. No, that's not the way it is. Okay, so make sure there is a waist level finder, otherwise the price should be a lot cheaper. It's easier to find a cheap prism than a cheap mechanical waist level normal viewfinder. Okay, so take care with that. Sometimes they don't have an 80mm lens, and they tell you, I've got the 155, but the 80mm is what everyone was using. There are many for sale, yeah, but the latest one, the CF or the CFE, are really expensive. Expect like 800 or maybe 900 euros for it. So if it's not there, make sure you don't need it, because you'll have to pay a prime price for it. Okay, well, I think that's it, more or less. I tried to make as short as possible. I hope it is useful to you. If you feel it may be useful for others, please share it on social networks. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a small button down here, a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgimbal.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. Also give you links of my gear on Amazon, links to other parts of my YouTube channel, and also a link to my PayPal account in case you want to make a donation. If you have any doubt before buying, you can contact me, no problem. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.